Hello there, my name is Valerie White-Williams, and today I'm talking about spiritual entities. Now, we are all spiritual. We are actually not just humans having a spiritual experience, but truly we are spirits having a human experience because we come from Source. We are much bigger than what our bodies can contain. We are multidimensional beings, but most of us have chosen to be in body to experience what we're here to do on life right now. And some people choose to return to Source and they're doing other things, but they are still there. So they are still an entity and a being and a source, a power source. Now, here's the thing, there are all types of beings. And of course, we have beings we're a spiritual being that has animated in our body. But there are a lot of spiritual beings that don't have a body and they're still around. So a lot of times there'll be people that lose their body or they're not in body, but they might hang around us and be a spirit guide. Or now here's the thing about the spiritual world, it's not like this world, like we're here in this time and place, because on the other side, time and space doesn't mean anything. So when we think, oh, they're hanging around us or they're here, it's not like they're physically here, they're spiritually here, but they can also be somewhere else spiritually. They can have multiple locations. There is no location. It's hard for us to imagine when we're in a physical body, but there can be entities that could be our spirit guides or people that we've known that are going to be there, that we can communicate with them once you learn to be still and receive, to get those messages. So those are the ones that are good. So what we were taught in CDM, my Washington Psychic Instuitute, there's two types of beings. I mean, there's more than that, but for our safety, there's the beings that respect our space. And then there are beings that don't respect our space. Okay, so usually our spirit guides and the people that have passed, that we've known, they're going to be respectful for us. They're going to stay when we come by, but they're not going to get into our space, typically. Because we were told about our aura and our energy field. And our energy field should only be for us, not for other things that are going to glom onto us. And so the beings that respect space are those that are going to be our spirit guides and people that are respectful. Now, there's the other kind of beings that are not respectful. They are maybe disturbed. There might be generational entities that are not the nicest. And so one of the things they told us in the Clairvoyant Training is that there are these entities they call them snake beings. Not to talk bad about snakes, but they're serpents. They're energetic beings. Now, pretty much every culture all over the world has the names for what we call demons, snake beings, jinn. These entities, these nasty entities, have been allowed into our reality at some point. And I'm not a huge earth historian, so that's not one of my expertise, but for some reason, it was like this rift and they came in. And I've heard sometimes it's from Mars or these different entities are coming in, but basically there's some nasty entities, satanic entities that are kind of in control, and they can try to be really scary, and they can really be nasty. Now, they can't really do anything if we are clear in our space, and you certainly can do things. Now, interesting, in the Bible, Jesus cast out a lot of demons. That was one of his early ministries. He cast them out, get them out. Now, it's interesting because a lot of churches don't talk about that because I don't know. But that was a lot of his early ministry, is casting out these demons. Now, when we think of demons, we think of devil horns or something like that. But these are beings that don't have a body, and their energy is dark. And sometimes we can have attachments. So some of the entities maybe not be this demonic energy, but sometimes people will let them in for various reasons, like with alcohol. So the word alcohol is actually about spirits. Now, I'm not saying people shouldn't drink alcohol, because there is a place for that, perhaps, but it's also a place to not be involved with that, because what happens when you can drink alcohol, you can attract these entities. And usually when you're attracting these entities that are not respectful of space, it's because you're allowing them in. And so if you're going on big drunken binges and you don't remember what's going on, and people tell you you did these wacky things, it's probably because some of these entities are going to say, hey, I got a free ride. I'm going to take a ride in this entity, and mess you up. So it's really important to keep our energy clear, so we are not going to allow ourselves to be attached. And sometimes you can see people that they actually go through this shift. Sometimes something will happen to them. They're totally nice, and all of a sudden they're just like really nasty. And it's like, it's really easy for these kind of not nice entities. They attach to you. They can actually attach to your chakras. I remember seeing that when I was doing some reading, when I was in trance. I could just see this almost like kind of locked in. And so when we were in readings like that, we would ask the readee to say, hey, we're sensing this being, and would you like some help removing it? And we're not going to do it without their asking. Maybe they want to keep it, but we would oftentimes see entities in the aura. And again, we don't want to see entities in the aura. That's not respecting space. It's basically kind of manipulating. And you can pick these things up a lot. Sometimes we pick them up to feel safe, or we had a person that was in Vietnam, and I saw that he had an entity that was helping him stay alive, because, you didn't want to get shot at. So sometimes there's like some agreements that you might, as a spiritual level, take on and have an entity that's maybe not the best, but they're not going to help you on the run, because we're the only entity we want to have in our body. But what happens is people lose their space. They might get mad, they might get drunk too much, or they just kind of are not whole in their space. And so it holds, the entities that don't have bodies can kind of sneak in. And so that's what meditation is really key, and running your energy and making sure everything's clean. And so there is no attachments. And so that's why you see people that switch on a dime, where they're like kind of unstable like that. So that's what's going on. And these entities, snake entities, they're looking for people to attach to. They're like vampires kind of. And yeah, they don't like that. They want to infest you sometimes. And that's why some darker energy can be maybe not the best energy to attract to us, because there are some forms of entertainment and music which does have some of that snake being satanic energy, which kind of basically puts holes in your aura so they can come in. So we have to really be careful of that. And we were warned about that. In fact, a lot of the training was to basically kind of helping people clear out some of these influences, which can also happen at night, because we are the only person we want in our aura. It's just us and our alone. And our spiritual guides and the loved ones that are helping us, they're not in our aura. They're over there. They're in their own place. So we want to be aware of those energetic attachments. Now, another reason why people might have energetic attachments is they're not willing to look at their life, and they're not willing to take responsibility. And so they'll just let this entity take over, and then they're not responsible. But if you allow an entity into your space, then you still are responsible, because it's your space. It's like if you let someone drive a car and they smash it, it's your car. And they didn't have permission. So that's kind of what goes on a lot with a lot of extreme drug use and drinking and things like that. I'm not going to tell you don't drink and don't do those things. But there is a danger that you can get some attachments. And so we were always going through in the clairvoyant training, helping people clean out these attachments. Now, to be honest, it's not like we're all pure and I have no attachments. So it's something you have to kind of always kind of go through and look into and work through. But what happens when we have attachments like that, they're going to influence us in a way that's maybe not in our best interest, or creating tension with people because they feed on it. It's like a feeding, it's like a parasite. They're basically parasites, and they parasite off of us, and it's throughout our culture. And it's actually getting more that way because they're getting desperate, because we're coming into a cleaning phase in Earth. And so all that satanic evil, evil is live backwards. So it's interesting how language is. So some of that satanic, nasty energy that's floating around in people and the entities, it's kind of like their end is coming near. And so they're going to maybe do more stuff. But you have to stay strong and staying grounded. So that's one of the greatest ways to clear your space, is allow yourself to ground into Mother Earth. And you can always ask your guides and spirit guides to help you clean out the attachments that you might be feeling, and to run your energy, and to take walks, and to meditate, and be clear. Because sometimes you'll have some emotion, you're like, this isn't like me. What's going on? So there can be some of these energetic attachments. So the clue is to take a look at how they make you feel. They make you feel more angsty, and they're like, you're going to start tearing things up or doing crazy stuff. There's probably, you're getting some help, and not the nice kind of help, the bad kind of help. So we have choices, but here's the deal. We are here to be sovereign in our body. We are here to be sovereign in our spiritual space, which is our aura. And it's really only for us. We don't need to invite anyone else in. It's for us. And again, our spirit guides, the people that have gone before us that are here to help us, they're not going to be in our aura. They're going to communicate respectfully. All right, so I hope you found this interesting, and I would love to hear about your ideas and thoughts about if you've ever seen or felt entities. And sometimes they're ghosts too. You know, I saw a ghost in a theater once, and I was sitting waiting to go on stage, and they had lights on either side of this kind of fairly big stage. And I was wait till we're going to start rehearsing, and then I saw this huge swoosh going across the lights that were up high. There's nothing else. There's no sheet or anything. And another friend of mine saw that. So sometimes there are just entities that love the theater. I think a lot of theaters tend to attract entities, and they may not be good or bad, but they're usually just, they like it. And it really depends. It really depends on the different entities and what's going on, but it's real. So you just have to realize that there are beings that have bodies, like me, and there are beings that don't have bodies, and we want to keep, the line is those that respect our space, meaning they're going to give us maybe they can communicate to us, but they're not getting in us. It's like those hooks. Anything's that going in and hooking you and then making your mind personality shifts, that's what we need to be aware of. And you want to like unhook it, bring a bunch of gold energy, let the energy of the cosmos come through you, and ground to Mother Earth, and let go of anything that you feel that is not respectful, that doesn't make you feel good in your body, meaning safe. You feel safe and whole. So that's what meditation does, and that's what clairvoyance does. And the more you practice meditation and clairvoyance, the more you see clearly what's going on. All right, so I'd love to hear about it in your comments, in the comments below. And let me know if you have any questions about this, because I'd love to make more videos or talk about it a bit more. All right, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.